The smell of roasted turkey hit me before I even reached Mom's front door that Thanksgiving. November 2018. I was 23, working 2 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, and still barely making rent on my studio apartment in Baltimore. My knock echoed 3 times before my sister Emma answered, her face immediately twisting into that familiar look of disgust. "Morgan, you actually came." She didn't move from the doorway. "Mom invited me. I brought cranberry sauce." I held up the can, yeah, canned, because it was what I could afford. She looked at it like I'd handed her garbage. "Store brand? Really?" Her voice carried into the house where I could hear aunties laughing, cousins shouting, Uncle Leroy's booming voice. "My family. My blood. Come in, I guess. But don't expect a plate unless you contribute something real." I stepped inside, and the warmth I'd expected felt cold. My brother Abram sat on the couch, designer sneakers kicked up on Mom's coffee table. Those shoes cost more than my monthly groceries. He barely glanced my way. "Yo, Morgan bringing that struggle energy again," he said to his girlfriend Sandra. They both laughed. Mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. For a second, I thought I saw warmth in her eyes. "Baby, you made it. How's work?" "Working hard, Mama. Real hard. Got that second job at." "That's nice, honey." She was already turning away. "Emma, did you check on the mac and cheese?" That's when I knew. I was already invisible. The dining room table looked like something from a magazine. Golden brown turkey, glazed ham, candied yams shimmering with butter, collard greens, cornbread that probably cost more than my weekly food budget. My cousin Trey had brought expensive wine. I saw the price tag he'd left on purposely. $75 a bottle. Everyone gathered around, taking seats based on some hierarchy I wasn't part of anymore. Uncle Leroy sat at the head, his Rolex catching the light. Aunt Ashley beside him, dripping in pearls. My siblings flanked Mom like bodyguards. I stood there holding my pathetic can of cranberry sauce. "Where should I sit?" I asked. The room went quiet. Emma exchanged a look with Abram. Mom suddenly became very interested in adjusting the centerpiece. Uncle Leroy cleared his throat. "Morgan, let's talk real quick. Step into the kitchen." My stomach dropped, but I followed. The kitchen smelled like brown sugar and cinnamon, but the sweetness couldn't mask what was coming. "Look, nephew. We love you. But this is a family dinner, and family contributes. You show up with dollar store cranberry sauce." He shook his head. "Everyone else brought quality. We can't have you dragging down the standard we've set here." "I'm working 2 jobs, Uncle Leroy. I'm doing my best." "Your best ain't good enough for this table." Abram had appeared in the doorway. "We all worked hard to be here. You're just struggling. It's embarrassing. I'm your brother. You're broke, Morgan. There's a difference." Mom walked in then, and I looked at her desperately. "Mama, tell them. Tell them this is wrong." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Baby, maybe you should have thought about this before. Everyone else planned ahead. Brought nice things. Made an effort." I made an effort. I worked a double shift yesterday just to afford gas to get here and buy this. I was shouting now, the can of cranberry sauce trembling in my hand. Emma appeared behind Abram. "See, this is exactly what we're talking about. That negative energy. That struggle mentality. We're trying to elevate. Morgan. You're trying to survive. Those aren't the same thing." Uncle Leroy put his hand on my shoulder, and I wanted to shrug it off, but I was frozen. "Son, I'm going to be real with you. You can stay, but you don't eat. You sit there and watch us celebrate what hard work looks like. Maybe it'll motivate you." The words hit like bullets. "Sit there. Watch. Don't eat. Or," Aunt Ashley called from the dining room, "you can leave with your dignity intact. Nobody's forcing you to stay and be humiliated." I looked around at all of them. These people who'd watched me grow up. Who'd celebrated my high school graduation. Who'd promised we'd always be family no matter what. You're really doing this? My voice cracked. On Thanksgiving? You're really kicking me out because I'm broke? Mom finally looked at me. We're not kicking you out, baby. We're just establishing boundaries. About expectations. About standards. That's when something inside me died. I set the cranberry sauce on the counter and walked toward the front door. Each step felt like I was moving through concrete. Behind me, I heard whispers starting back up. Someone laughed. I think it was Trey. Morgan, wait. It was Mom. I turned, hope flaring stupid and desperate in my chest. She pressed a Tupperware container into my hands. I saved you some turkey. Just, maybe next year, plan better, okay? Think about what you're bringing to the table. Literally. The container felt heavy. So did my heart. Thanks, Mama. I couldn't even look at her. Outside, November air bit through my thin jacket, the only one I owned. My 1998 Honda Civic sat at the curb, looking as pathetic as I felt. Through the dining room window, I could see them all sitting down, raising glasses, laughing. Uncle Leroy was carving the turkey. Emma was taking pictures for Instagram. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, watching my family celebrate without me. The Tupperware sat on the passenger seat, and I couldn't stop staring at it. Charity. Pity. Leftover scraps for the family failure. My phone buzzed. Text from Abram, no hard feelings bro. Just real talk. Get your money up, then come around. We got standards now. I drove to my studio apartment, climbed 4 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken, and ate cold turkey alone on my mattress on the floor. No bed frame. No table. Just me and the silence and the crushing weight of not being enough. That night, I made a promise to myself. Never again. Monday morning, 4 a.m. My alarm screamed, and I was already awake. I'd been awake since 2, actually, staring at the water-stained ceiling, replaying that Thanksgiving on repeat. Each memory was a blade cutting deeper. I worked at a warehouse from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., then drove straight to my second job at a call center until 11 p.m. 18-hour days. 6 days a week. The other day, I spent learning, free courses online, YouTube tutorials about coding, business development, anything that could get me out of this hole. My coworker Leroy, different Leroy, better Leroy, noticed me watching Python tutorials during lunch break. You trying to switch careers? He asked, unpacking his sandwich. Trying to switch lives, I said. He laughed, but then saw I was serious. For real? What happened? I told him. Everything. The Thanksgiving. The humiliation. The cranberry sauce. When I finished, he was quiet for a long minute. Morgan, I know someone. He runs a tech startup, always looking for hungry people who want to learn. Can't promise anything, but I can get your resume in front of him. 3 weeks later, I had an interview. For weeks after that, I had a job as a junior developer. The pay was barely more than my 2 jobs combined, but it had something those didn't, potential. I worked like a demon. Every project, every line of code, I imagined Emma's face when she'd called me embarrassing. Abram's smirk when he'd said my best wasn't good enough. I stopped answering family calls. Stopped checking social media where they posted their perfect lives. I disappeared. Year 1 at TechFlow Solutions, I was Employee of the Month 6 times. Year 2, I developed an algorithm that saved the company $2 million in operational costs. My boss, Ruben Hudson, called me into his office on a Tuesday. Morgan, I'm promoting you to senior developer. But I also want to talk about something else. He slid a business proposal across his desk. I've been watching you. You don't just work, you think. You solve problems nobody else sees. I want you to co-found a subsidiary with me. 50-50 partnership. We build proprietary software, license it, grow it, maybe sell it in a few years. My hand shook taking the document. Why me? Because you work like someone's chasing you. And people like that either burn out or become legends. I'm betting on legend. We shook hands. Hudson Solutions was born. That Christmas, while my family gathered at Uncle Leroy's lake house, I saw the pictures on Emma's Instagram. I was in a tiny office with Ruben, surviving on coffee and Chinese takeout, building our first product. By March, we had our first client. By August, we had 15. By December, we were bringing in 7 figures. I still lived in my studio apartment. Still drove my Civic. Still ate ramen most nights. But my bank account grew, and with it, something harder and sharper than money: purpose. Year 3, we sold Hudson Solutions to a major tech company for $40 million. My half, $20 million, minus taxes. I was 28 years old. I didn't call my family. They didn't deserve to know. I bought the house in April 2023. 10,000 square feet on 5 acres in Potomac, Maryland. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, infinity pool, home theater, wine cellar, the works. The realtor, Michelle, kept saying, "Are you sure? This is a lot of house for one person." I was sure. I furnished it slowly, carefully. Each piece chosen deliberately. The dining room table could seat 20. I left 19 chairs empty. The kitchen had top-of-the-line everything, and I learned to cook. Really cook. The kind of meals that would make Mom's Thanksgiving spread look basic. I didn't do it to show off. I did it to prove something to myself. I was worth more than cranberry sauce. My business partner Ruben came over once and whistled low. "Morgan, man, this is incredible. But are you happy?" I looked around at the marble floors, the crystal chandeliers, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens. I'm satisfied. That's not the same thing. It's enough. I still hadn't contacted my family. 5 years of silence. I knew from occasional Google searches that Abram was managing a retail store now. Emma was doing hair, posting constantly about her entrepreneur journey. Mom had retired. Uncle Leroy had health problems. Aunt Ashley's husband had left her. Life had happened to them while I'd been busy happening to life. I felt nothing about it. Or told myself I did. Then one Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I checked the security camera and felt my entire body go cold. Mom, Emma, Abram, Uncle Leroy, all standing on my porch, looking small and tired. And Mom was holding papers. I didn't move for a full minute. Just stared at the screen, watching them shift nervously. Emma kept checking her phone. Abram looked around at the property with wide eyes. Uncle Leroy seemed to have aged a decade. Mom rang the bell again. I walked to the door slowly, deliberately. Opened it. The shock on their faces was almost worth the 5 years of silence. "Morgan." Mom's voice cracked. "Baby, is this your house?" "Who else's would it be? I'm the one who opened the door." I didn't step aside to let them in. Emma recovered first, plastering on that fake smile. "Oh my God, Morgan. We've been trying to reach you forever. Your number changed, and I changed it on purpose. What do you want?" The smile faltered. Abram stepped forward. "Bro, come on. We're family. Can we come in?" "Family? Is that what we are?" I looked at each of them. "Because last time we were family, you kicked me out of Thanksgiving for being too broke. So which is it?" Uncle Leroy cleared his throat. "Morgan, son, we need to talk. It's important. Life and death important." I saw the papers in Mom's hand then, really saw them. "What are those?" She started crying. Just broke down right there on my porch. "Baby, I'm being evicted. I lost my house. I didn't know where else to go, and then I saw your address on this property record and I thought." "You thought what? That I'd save you? That I'd be your backup plan after 5 years of nothing?" Emma's face hardened. "So you're just going to let Mama be homeless? That's who you are now?" Something in me snapped. Don't you dare put this on me." "Come in," I said finally, stepping aside. Not because I wanted to help. Because I wanted them to see. Every inch of what they'd dismissed. What they'd said wasn't good enough. They filed in, and I watched their faces as they took in the marble entryway, the grand staircase, the chandelier that cost more than their cars combined. "Morgan," Mom whispered, "what do you do?" "I'm a tech entrepreneur. Sold my company 3 years ago. Now I consult and invest." "You never told us," Emma said. "You never asked. You stopped talking to me, remember? Or did you forget the part where you said I was embarrassing? Where Abram told me to get my money up before coming around? Abram had the decency to look ashamed. Man, that was years ago. We were different then. No. You were exactly who you are now. You just had someone to look down on to feel better about yourselves." We stood in the foyer, tension thick enough to choke on. Uncle Leroy finally said, "Morgan, I know we hurt you. I know we were wrong. But your mother needs help. She's 62 years old and about to be on the street." "What happened?" I asked Mom directly. She wiped her eyes. "I took out a second mortgage to help Emma start her salon. Then a third to help Abram with his store. Then the economy crashed, and I couldn't keep up, and the bank, she broke down again. I looked at my siblings. So she bankrupted herself for you, and now you brought her here. To me. The broke one. The embarrassment." Emma's jaw tightened. "We don't have money like this, Morgan. We're struggling." "Then struggle harder. Like I did." "That's cold," Abram said. "That's real cold, man. This is Mama. And I'm your brother. Was. But that didn't matter when you needed standards met, did it?" Mom grabbed my arm. "Baby, please. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. We were wrong, so wrong, and I've regretted it every single day. That Thanksgiving haunts me. The look on your face. Then why didn't you call? Why didn't you text? Why did it take you being evicted to remember you had another son?" The silence was deafening. That's what I thought. I pulled my arm away. "You want to know what that night did to me? I sat in my car for 20 minutes watching you all celebrate. Watching you laugh and take pictures and make toasts. I drove to my studio apartment, you know, the one with the broken elevator, and I ate your charity turkey on my mattress. On the floor. Because I couldn't afford a bed frame." "We didn't know it was that bad," Emma whispered. "You didn't care to know. There's a difference." I looked at Uncle Leroy. "You told me to sit there and watch you all eat. To let it motivate me. Well, it did. It motivated me to cut you all out of my life like the cancer you are." "Morgan." Mom gasped. "No. You don't get to be shocked. You set the standard. Remember. Contributions. Quality. Elevation. I brought cranberry sauce, yeah, the cheap kind, because it was what I could afford, and you made me feel like dirt. So I elevated. I contributed to my own life. And the quality? You're looking at it." Uncle Leroy's face turned red. "You ungrateful, we're still your family. Then act like it. Don't just show up when you need something." "I'll help Mama," I said quietly. "But not you. Not any of you. Just her." Emma exploded. "Who do you think you are? Mr. Big Shot now? You're still the same broke boy who showed up with dollar store cranberry sauce. And you're still the same shallow woman who values appearances over people. At least I grew. I have grown. I built a business. With Mama's money. That she's losing her house over. How's that elevation working out?" Abram stepped between us. "Morgan, come on. We can all move past this. We're family. Blood is thicker than." "Then what? Then humiliation? Then rejection? Then 5 years of silence?" I laughed, and it sounded broken even to me. "You know what's funny? I used to imagine this moment. You all coming back, seeing what I'd become, apologizing. In my fantasy, I was gracious. Forgiving. The bigger man. Then be that man, Mom pleaded. But that was before I realized something. You don't deserve my grace. You deserve exactly what you gave me, nothing. Uncle Leroy's face went purple. After everything we did for you growing up. We fed you, clothed you, loved you. And then threw me away the second I couldn't contribute to your image. Love isn't conditional, Uncle Leroy. But apparently, yours was. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling my financial advisor. He'll set up a trust for Mama. She'll have housing and a monthly stipend. She'll never want for anything. But there's a condition. They all leaned in, desperate. None of you can benefit from it. Not $1. And Mama, if you give them anything, the trust dissolves. Do you understand? Mom nodded, tears streaming. Yes, baby. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so. Don't thank me. This isn't mercy. This is me being better than you raised me to be. Emma's face twisted into something ugly. You're punishing us. That's what this is. No, I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. So we're supposed to just struggle? Just fail? You're supposed to do what I did. Work. Grind. Sacrifice. Or is that standard only for me? Abram got in my face. You think you're better than us now? You think this house and this money makes you better? I didn't blink. No. What makes me better is that I would never do to someone what you did to me. I would never kick family out for being poor. I would never make someone feel worthless over cranberry sauce. That's what makes me better. He swung. I saw it coming and stepped back, but his fist still grazed my jaw. Security alarms blared instantly. My security detail was there in 30 seconds. Yes, I had security now. They restrained Abram while he shouted, "You're dead to me. You hear me? Dead." "I've been dead to you for 5 years," I said calmly, even as my jaw throbbed. "This just makes it official." The police came. I pressed charges. Abram was arrested for assault. Emma screamed that I was tearing the family apart, that this was all my fault, that I was the villain here. Uncle Leroy just looked at me with something like regret. "You changed, Morgan. The boy we knew would never. The boy you knew died on your porch holding a can of cranberry sauce. This is who he became. Are you surprised?" They left, dragged out, really, by security and police. All except Mom, who sat in my foyer crying. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "I'm so sorry." "I know, Mama. But sorry doesn't erase 5 years. Sorry doesn't unfeel what I felt." It's been 6 months since that night. Mom lives in a nice condo I bought for her, not a mansion, but comfortable. Safe. Warm. We have dinner once a week. We're rebuilding. Slowly. Carefully. She tells me Emma's salon failed. Abram lost his store. Uncle Leroy's health is declining, and his alone. Aunt Ashley asks about me sometimes. Do you want to reconcile with them? Mom asked last week. I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. Some bridges should stay burned. That's sad, baby. What's sad is that they only valued me when I had something they wanted. That's not family. That's a transaction. She nodded, understanding even if it hurt. I'm 33 now. Still single. Still building. I started a foundation that helps people in the situation I was in. Broke, desperate, one disaster away from homelessness. I've helped 12 families so far. It feels better than revenge ever could. Last Thanksgiving, I hosted dinner. Just me and Mom. We made everything from scratch. Turkey, ham, mac and cheese, collard greens, sweet potato pie. And yes, cranberry sauce. The expensive kind, homemade, perfect. We sat at my big dining table, just the two of us and 18 empty chairs. This feels wrong, Mom said. All this space. It feels right to me. I earned every inch of it. We ate slowly, and I told her about my life, the real parts, the struggles, the victories, the loneliness. She listened like she should have 5 years ago. After dinner, we watched old family videos. There I was at 10, missing my front teeth. At 15, awkward and skinny. At 20, full of hope. You were always good enough, Mom said. We were just too blind to see it. I know that now. It took a while, but I know. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Morgan, it's Emma. Can we talk? Please. I deleted it. Some lessons you have to learn the hard way. Some standards you have to maintain. I'm not the broke kid with cranberry sauce anymore. I'm the man who built an empire from humiliation. And that man? He doesn't need their validation. He never did. This is real talk for real people who know that loyalty isn't conditional. Don't let anyone make you feel small for being in a tough spot. Your worth isn't your wallet. Subscribe for more stories about people who refused to stay down. Comment which family member made you the angriest. And share this with someone who needs to hear that their struggle doesn't define their value. Remember, the people who laugh at you on your way up are usually the same ones begging on your way to the top. Choose wisely who you bring with you.